Fort Apache, The Bronx is a 1981 crime drama directed by the esteemed Daniel Petrie. Set against the backdrop of the South Bronx in New York City, this film features Paul Newman in the role of Officer Murphy, a seasoned policeman tasked with maintaining order in one of the city's most challenging districts. Officer Corelli, portrayed by Ken Wall, is his partner. The narrative delves into the harsh realities of police work and explores intricate themes such as crime, poverty, racism, police brutality, and systemic corruption in a community that appears forsaken by society. The central plot focuses on Officer Murphy's internal conflict as he strives to reconcile his duties with his ethical beliefs, particularly after he witnesses corruption within his own ranks. This moral dilemma intensifies when he sees a crime being concealed by his fellow officers, prompting him to re-evaluate his role in the system and contemplate the true essence of his oath to serve and protect. In a compelling performance, Ed Asner embodies Murphy's precinct captain, a character marked by both toughness and moral ambiguity, committed to preserving peace at any cost. The film also features Rachel Tickerton as a nurse and Murphy's romantic interest, and includes a memorable appearance by Pam Grier as Charlotte, a sex worker. Upon its release, Fort Apache, The Bronx, sparked considerable controversy for its depiction of the South Bronx and its inhabitants, leading to significant criticism from community activists and organizations within the Bronx. They argued that the film portrayed the neighborhood as a den of inescapable crime and violence, and criticized the film's title and promotional strategy for suggesting a militaristic divide between the police and the community. Despite receiving mixed reviews, with some critics lauding Newman's nuanced portrayal and the film's authentic depiction of urban life, while others condemned its pessimistic representation of the South Bronx and superficial character development. The film was a financial success. Grossing over $27 million at the box office upon its release on February 6, 1981, its earnings exceed $100 million when adjusted for inflation today. Critically, Fort Apache, The Bronx, holds an approval rating of 80% on Rotten Tomatoes and a score of 6.7 out of 10 on IMDb. Presently, the film is somewhat elusive, not available on mainstream streaming platforms, nor through informal uploads on platforms such as YouTube. To view this cinematic piece, acquiring the DVD or Blu-ray is necessary. Fort Apache, The Bronx remains a significant portrayal of the trials faced by law enforcement in the urban setting of 1980s New York City, capturing the complexity and challenges of the time. Hey movie buffs, dive into the unique Western world of Windwalker, a classic from 1981 that really switches things up with its storytelling approach and authentic dive into Native American culture. Directed by Keith Merrill and based on Blaine M. Jorgensen's novel, this flick stars Trevor Howard as Windwalker, an old Cheyenne warrior with one last journey in him. Now, imagine this. It's the late 18th century, and Windwalker, after passing away, surprisingly comes back to life. What's he up to? He's got a mission to keep his family safe from a rival tribe and to find his long-lost son. It's not just any journey, it's a blend of touching flashbacks and gripping present-day adventures. What's good about Windwalker? The film rolls with authentic Native American languages, like Cheyenne and Crow, and rocks English subtitles to keep everyone in the loop. Back in the 80s, this was a big deal, giving a nod to the cultures it portrays, way ahead of its time. Though Trevor Howard, who's British, playing Windwalker, stirred some controversy, and still does because of that whole brownface issue, his performance was well received for its depth and respect in performance and intention. Nevertheless, the rest of the cast features Native American actors, leaving many to wonder why the production could not hire a Native American lead. Released on February 6, 1981, Windwalker made a cool $6.3 million on a $3 million budget. And hey, if you're curious about how it holds up, it's got a decent 6.8 user rating on IMDb. craving something different. Windwalker is streaming for free on Tubi. Check it out and take a ride back to the 18th century with a story that's anything but your typical Western. An examination of the cinematic classic, My Bloody Valentine. My Bloody Valentine, a distinguished Canadian slasher film directed by George Mihalka, premiered in 1981. Renowned for its gritty ambience, suspenseful tone and gruesome scenes, it is frequently hailed as a quintessential slasher film of its era. Plot overview set in the isolated mining town of Valentine Bluffs, the community has abstained from celebrating Valentine's Day for 2 decades, following a catastrophic mining accident that claimed several lives. Harry Warden, the accident's sole survivor, was driven to madness and consequently executed a series of murders, attributing the accident to negligence. He issued a stern warning to the townsfolk: never again hold a Valentine's Day dance or face his lethal vengeance. Decades later, as the town revives the controversial dance, a series of violent murders recommence, seemingly validating Harry Warden's ominous threat. A group of young miners and their friends are terrorized by a mysterious assailant, clad in mining gear and wielding a pickaxe, who leaves behind heart-shaped candy boxes with macabre contents as a grim reminder of his fury. Notable aspects: tone and setting. The film captures the essence of a blue-collar mining town, characterized by its working-class protagonists and industrial setting, adding a layer of realism to its supernatural elements. Iconic killer design. The antagonist's mining attire, including a breathing mask and pickaxe, has become emblematic of the film. The sound of heavy breathing and the claustrophobic mine settings amplify the film's horror elements. Censorship and gore. Initially, the Motion Picture Association of America, MPAA, heavily censored the film, eliminating approximately 9 minutes of violent content. However, these scenes have been gradually restored in various DVD and Blu-ray editions to the delight of horror aficionados. Cult status. Though it did not achieve significant commercial success initially, My Bloody Valentine has cultivated a devoted following, revered for its intense scenes, unique setting, and atmospheric depth. It stands distinctly apart from the more conventional slasher films of the early 1980s. Remake. In 2009, the film was reimagined as My Bloody Valentine 3D, which infused the original narrative with contemporary effects and technology, while preserving its core essence. My Bloody Valentine was highly controversial at the time of its release and became the subject of an ongoing controversy about the growing amount of gore in Hollywood. Legacy. My Bloody Valentine continues to captivate horror enthusiasts, particularly those who favor the slasher genre. Its innovative approach and skillfully executed suspense render it a noteworthy film within the annals of horror cinema. Upon its release on February 11th, 1981, My Bloody Valentine garnered $5.6 million at the box office against a budget of $2.3 million. It currently holds a 58% critics rating on Rotten Tomatoes and a 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb. For those interested in revisiting this classic, My Bloody Valentine is available for complimentary streaming on the Pluto TV app. The 1981 cinematic production, Sphinx, is a mystery-adventure film directed by the acclaimed Franklin J. Schaffner, and it is adapted from the novel of the same title by Robin Cook. This film features the talents of Leslie Ann Down and Frank Langella. Set against the evocative backdrop of Egypt, the narrative follows Dr. Erica Barron, a dedicated young Egyptologist who finds herself embroiled in a perilous exploration involving tomb raiders, the illegal smuggling of antiquities, and a series of murders. In Sphinx, Dr. Barron, portrayed by Leslie Ann Down, ventures to Egypt with the aim of studying the ancient treasures of the pharaohs. However, her academic pursuit quickly becomes a dangerous ordeal when she uncovers a clue leading to a concealed tomb brimming with untold riches. As the gravity of her discovery becomes apparent, Dr. Barron realizes that she has attracted the attention of nefarious individuals who would commit murder to seize these priceless artifacts. Frank Langella delivers a compelling performance as Ahmed Kazan, a character shrouded in mystery, whose true intentions towards Dr. Barron remain uncertain throughout the film. The film adeptly captures both the allure of Egypt's ancient monuments and the sinister aspects of the antiquities market. It artfully combines suspense, historical intrigue, and romantic elements. Despite its visually stunning setting and meticulous cinematography, the film received a spectrum of reviews, ranging from mixed to negative critiques, primarily concerning its pacing and the execution of its plot. Many critics noted that the film failed to capture the thrilling essence of its source material. Despite not achieving enduring popularity, Sphinx is celebrated for its vivid portrayal of Egypt and its appeal to enthusiasts of archaeological mysteries. Upon its release on February 11, 1981, Sphinx garnered $12 million at the box office against a production budget of $2 million. Currently, Sphinx does not have a rating on Rotten Tomatoes, but holds a score of 5.1 out of 10 on IMDb. For those interested, Sphinx is available for streaming on Google Play, among other streaming rental services. American Pop, a cinematic innovation in animation and music released in 1981 and directed by Ralph Bakshi, American Pop stands out for its innovative storytelling and unique visual style. The film explores the evolution of American popular music through the lives of 4 generations in a fictional family, showcasing how music reflects and shapes societal and personal events. Story overview. The story begins in early 20th century Russia, following the family's relocation to America. It tracks key figures from each generation, representing major phases in American music. Starting in the Great Depression and the Jazz era, the narrative moves through the swing era of World War II, the rock and roll of the 1950s, the psychedelic 1960s, and ends in the punk and rock scenes of the 1970s. Style and techniques. The film is notable for its use of rotoscoping, where animators trace over live-action footage, allowing realistic and fluid movements. Bakshi's method captures authentic gestures and brings a tangible realism to the animation. He also mixes animation styles, archival footage, and period-specific backgrounds to reflect the changing American cultural landscape, controversy, and soundtrack. Despite its name, American Pop covers more than just pop music, something Bakshi noted might mislead audiences. The soundtrack is a crucial part of the film, featuring legendary artists like Bob Dylan and Jimi Hendrix, which helps to underline the narrative and the shifts in American music and culture. Reception, legacy, and availability. Initially receiving mixed reviews, American Pop eventually gained a cult following and is now praised for its innovative animation and reflective storytelling. Despite its modest box office return of $1.5 million against a $5 million budget, the film is recognized as a landmark in animation. It holds a 68% rating on Rotten Tomatoes and a 7.2 on IMDb. For those interested, American Pop is available for streaming rental on platforms like Google Play. Hey movie buffs! Get ready to dive into the goofy world of Charlie Chan and the Curse of the Dragon Queen from 1981. Directed by Clive Donner, this film takes a playful jab at the classic detective tales of the early 20th century. Starring Peter Ustinov as Charlie Chan, the movie lines up a cast with Angie Dickinson, Richard Hatch, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Roddy McDowall. Here's the scoop. Charlie Chan, the sharp Chinese-American detective, jumps out of retirement to solve a string of murders in San Francisco. Seems his biggest headache is the mysterious Dragon Queen, played by Angie Dickinson, who's behind all the chaos. But wait, there's more. Chan's grandson, played by Richard Hatch, tries to help but ends up bumbling things up even more. And just when you think things can't get more twisted, a curse comes into play, making Chan's job a hilarious uphill battle. Check this out. The movie's tagline is not good. It's a Charlie Chan fortune cookie proverb that goes, "Murderer who turn victim into human baked potato have real appetite for crime." Yikes. When Charlie Chan and the Curse of the Dragon Queen hit the screens, it stirred up quite the controversy. Critics and audiences were split, especially with Peter Ustinov playing Chan. There was a big outcry about racial stereotypes, and stars Charlie Chan and Richard Hatch in yellowface makeup. Yup, things got rightly heated with protests in San Francisco and outside cinemas across the US. Despite the pushback and a shaky reception, if you're curious to check it out, just a heads up. It's not on streaming services right now. It's got a 29% rating on Rotten Tomatoes and a 4.1 on IMDb. Hey, movie buffs! Let's dive into the world of thrillers with the 1981 flick Eyewitness. Directed by Peter Yates and featuring a stellar cast, including William Hurt, Sigourney Weaver, and Christopher Plummer. This film is a total hidden gem from the early 80s. So here's the scoop. William Hurt plays Daryl Deaver, a janitor in New York City who's totally smitten with TV reporter Tony Sokolow, played by the amazing Sigourney Weaver. Things take a wild turn when a businessman is murdered right where Daryl works. He ends up right in the middle of the investigation, partly because he's got some crucial info, and partly because, well, he wants to impress Tony, who's hot on the case. As Tony digs deeper, Daryl's crush and his link to the crime start causing major trouble, making him a suspect and putting him squarely in harm's way. The story heats up as they edge closer to the truth and to figuring out who really did the deed. What's cool about Eyewitness is how it mixes mystery, romance, and tons of suspense. Hurt and Weaver are just fantastic together, and they really bring the unconventional storyline to life. It's a thrill ride with a side of romance, all set against a gritty 1980s New York backdrop. Fun fact, before hitting screens as Eyewitness, this film was almost called The Janitor. It even went through a name change after a not-so-hot test run in England. And if you loved Peter Yates and Steve Tessich's work on Breaking Away, guess what? Eyewitness was their next big project together. Oh, and here's a quirky tidbit. This movie actually inspired a Bollywood comedy thriller called Hum to Mohabbat Karega. Released on February 13th, 1981, Eyewitness did pretty well for itself, raking in $8.5 million on a $6.4 million budget. It's rocking a 75% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 5.9 on IMDb. Unfortunately, you can't stream Eyewitness right now, so you might want to hunt down a DVD if you're itching to check it out. Trust me, it's worth watching if you're into films that blend suspense with a touch of the heartstrings.